Hi there, I'm board certified professional organizer Kathy Burns. I'm really glad you're here. This podcast is designed for busy entrepreneurs just like you who want to take better control of your business and move forward with less stress and more success. If this is your first time listening, then thanks for coming. The Organized Energized podcast is produced for your enjoyment, and show notes are found at thepodcast.organizedandenergize.com. Come back often and feel free to add this podcast to your favorite RSS feed or iTunes. You can also follow me on Twitter at Organized Energy and Facebook. All links are in the show notes. Now let's get into the show. Hi, everyone. This is Kathy. Welcome back to the show. I'm so excited to be here. Look, how many of you as entrepreneurs consider yourself psychologically unemployable? Yeah, I know as a solo serialpreneur for over 20, 30 years myself, I'm probably unemployable. And if you've been an entrepreneur for any length of time, you might be as well, or at least consider yourself that. Well, today I'm talking with Robert Butwin, and he's known as the Master Networker Connector. And it's interesting. You're going to love this interview. He descended from a lineage of successful entrepreneurs and self-made millionaires. But what he decided early on was that he was going to break out of that country club smart mold and start doing things his way. So you're going to love this interview. Let's talk to a serial entrepreneur, network marketing master. You're going to learn a lot. Let's jump right in and meet Robert. Hi, everyone. This is Kathy, and I am back with my friend, Robert Butwin. I cannot wait to get into this conversation. This man is a man of change. As you see, it says Better Change Podcast. He's also a fellow podcaster, and I just wanted to introduce you to him. So thanks for joining me, Robert. It's good for you to be here.
Kathy, I'm really looking forward to our conversation so I can help whoever of your entrepreneurs that might be having whatever struggles or challenges they might be having.
Yeah, that's what we're all about. We all go through those ups and downs, don't we? And that's why I actually have the podcast, is to give some tips and tricks that you can walk away with and actually implement into your daily life to make life a little bit easier and more joyful. So Robert, let's talk about your backstory. You have an interesting backstory. God, look at my hair. That's weird things. Okay, you have an interesting backstory. So talk to me about where you came from. I know you're from a lineage of a lot of entrepreneurial people. So let's start there.
You know, you're right. Our family started the high school award cheerleading jacket business in the 1938. Oldest son, third generation, always expected to run that family business. First challenge, too much family in the family business. Even though my dad was running it, my grandmother, even though she was never there, really was dictating who got paid what. She wanted to make sure all of her grandchildren got paid approximately the same amount. My dad would always tell me, it worked in the past, it's going to work in the future. Well, that's not the way it is. A cousin of mine, and I don't think you even know this, but he wrote a song approximately 65 years ago. In the lyrics of the song, you better start swimming or you'll sink like a stone. Times are a-changing, my friend. And that was Bob Dylan, a third cousin of mine. Now, for your listeners, I never met him. His mother was at my wedding. But one of the key things I've learned is, change is inevitable. It's how you recognize and embrace it in a way that will allow you to create the things you're looking to create.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you, I always say, you need to embrace change because it's going to happen anyhow. And the less stuff you have, and you. But that's really quite interesting. We had a family business. We started a family business. We brought in mom and brother, and that didn't quite work out. So I understand completely what you mean by family businesses. I love being a solopreneur with helpers. Works for me. So so how did you get out of that? Like, how did you exit gracefully, if it was graceful? How did you leave that?
It was very graceful. And let me tell you, part of what happened. Two things. Number one, I ended up meeting a lady right about the time that I realized I needed to get out, but I came across a cassette tape series. For your listeners that remember what a cassette series was by Wayne Dyer.
I love Wayne Dyer.
Yeah. It was called How to Be a No Limit Person. So I realized for things to change, I needed to change my mindset because realistically, I took the path of least resistance. I was forced to go to college. I didn't necessarily like, you know, going through that process, but it was expected of me because I always figured out I knew where my path was going to go. So in the meantime, when I came across that cassette tape series, I realized I was responsible for what is so that I could take it for what would be. But unfortunately, most people are in a state of denial. And I love the acronym of denial, which is don't even notice I am lying. They're lying to themselves by not taking responsibility for what they need to create as it relates to whatever they want to do.
Yeah. Wayne is so brilliant. So I love that. So you exited but you said you always knew what you were going to do and you knew it didn't have to include college. What did you know you were going to do?
Well, you know, I got a degree, but I really didn't get the education. I knew I was going to be successful. I didn't necessarily know what I was going to do. And so I started, changing my mindset. I started listening to cassettes, reading books, going to seminars. And then I came across my first in-person mentor. It was somebody, anytime I had a challenge or a question, I could pick up the phone and call him. And one of the things that he told me up front, and by the way, when I first started in business, I ended up creating $102,000 in debt. Now, you don't necessarily need to go into debt to be successful. I was ignorance on fire. I didn't really know what was going on, but I just dove in because I knew that I was going to be successful. I knew if other people could do it, I could do it. And so ultimately, then I came across my mentor. I and it was I met the lady that I ended up marrying. The first thing that she wanted to do is she wanted to know where I was financially. She grabbed my books so that she could find out. And so I had like 42 debts, $102,000. But she liked me, thank goodness. And so we just worked on paying off all those debts. And because one of the things, no matter every entrepreneur is going to go through whatever challenges, struggles. And one of the pieces of advice that I can, that I quite often will tell people, part of why this is happening to you so they can look other people in the eyes, speak from the heart, empathize, and explain to them. First of all, you can tell them that you can see that they're going to break through, and you can relate some of your struggles in a way that will help other people.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I'm doing this podcast and probably why you're doing the podcast. It's like there's hope and we all go into debt. Most of us go into debt at some point. And I love what you said about, it's just being ignorant of what could possibly befall you, but it doesn't matter because all things happen, things happen. And then the whole key is how do you get out of it? How do you move forward? How do you see your way clear? For you met a woman who's a backbone. Yep, love that. And we all need partners of some sense. And I think even as a solopreneur, I have many, many partners in my business that help me and that I count on and that count on me. And it takes kind of as you say, as people say, it takes a tribe to build a good company of some kind of tribe or other, right?
Yes.
What do you feel? So now you're the networking king, right? You know about the mind game of networking. If someone was going to break into getting out there in the world, maybe they're shy, maybe they have a stutter, maybe they just don't feel confident networking, what advice would you give them if they're just starting to break into the game of spreading the news about their business and meeting other entrepreneurs?
Well, first of all, the advice I'll pass on was the advice I got from a 70-year friend of our family, which was Harvey McKay, who wrote the book Dig Your Well Before You're Thirsty. And what he told me is your net worth is in direct relationship to the value of your network. So the key is focusing on developing meaningful relationships. Now, if you're saying shy, You know, I was listening to Ivan Meisner one time spoke, and even when I was speaking to my wife, you know, we were talking about introvert, extrovert. And you know, she said, I'm an introvert. And Ivan Meisner, who was the founder of BNI, you know, when he was talking to his wife, said, you're an introvert. And we came up to the realization he was a situational extrovert. I'm a situational extrovert because the key is how you develop that connection, that human um, understanding of people. And one of the people that, you know, that I've met and I could send you so you could pass it on to your leaders, I mean, your listeners, is Bob Burr, who wrote Endless Referrals. He's got a whole list of quality questions to ask people. But the key is being authentic. Um,
Mhm.
Figure out what you can do. And one of the things I learned about networking, it's like opening a bank account. You need to make deposits
Mhm.
before you can make withdrawals. So if you're really interested in understanding the other person, don't think about transactions. Focus more on collaborations. You know, I take a look at the best relationships that I've got in business, and I realized who they were, and I started to refer other of the right people to them. So again, it's how you can show up to be of value to other people.
Yeah, I love that. And it's so very true. It's so very true. Make deposits before you make withdrawals. And you know what's funny? I think the people that you resonate with, it's so much easier to make deposits. You know, if you find yourself not being able to make a deposit, perhaps that's not the right networking colleague anyhow. Maybe you're just not resonant. You know, I go a lot with the feeling of, is this someone that I want to hang out with? Is this someone that I like to play with on this, you know, have interactions with that's just not business? And I think those are the best relationships for sure. I agree.
Well, and let me play off of that because the key is how you leverage resources. Now, resources come in a variety of different forms. You know, today, with everything that's out there, you've got ChatGPT, you've got Perplexity, you've got Suno.com, which is for people that are into music. So, you know, you can either introduce them to people, you can guide them to things that would benefit if you've asked the right questions, understand what they're doing, because realistically, almost every entrepreneur is looking for one of three things: visibility, credibility, or connectivity. You know, connections to something that will help them elevate and accelerate their pathway as it relates to what's they're going. You've got to take the focus off of you, take it off of me, and flip that M and me upside down into we. So the more that you can focus on the other person and figure out what you can do that will be helpful to them, it's going to help you accelerate that connection.
Yeah, I love that. Well, we've all had ups and downs. So talk to me about one of the obstacles that you faced at some point in your long-lived career. What were you up against and how did you find your way out of it?
You know, the biggest obstacle that I feel that most people face, and I had to face it at some level, and I'll explain how I faced it, is the 6 inches between their ears, their mindset. You know, I found myself, because of the success that I created, I was on stage with some of the iconic speakers, people like Jim Rohn, Wayne Dyer, T. Harv Eker before he was there, Les Brown, because of the success, and they were keynote speakers. And so I'm sitting back, the self-talk, you know, and saying, man, I'm out of, it's like I'm out of water. I'm a duck out of water, whatever the case is. So, and part of the key is understanding your self-talk. It was like when I listened to Michael Gerber's, you know, cassette tape series, The E-Myth, and he says 4 to 5 businesses are going to fail in the first 5 years. And I'm listening to him, and I said, that's not me. I listen to my self-talk, and you know, it's continually feeding the mind, associating and surrounding yourself with the right people. Understand what your state of genius is. You know, there's a great book, The Big Leap, Staying in Your State of Genius. It's like I've got collaborations with people that do the things that I don't want to do. I mean, I haven't totally embraced AI, but one of my business partner is an AI concierge. He's like in the 12-step program. I don't do any of the, like, for example, when I'm going to promote your show, I don't do it, but I've got other people that do it for me. Because my state of genius is number one, networking, and number two, having meaningful conversations with quality people.
Yeah. I get that a lot. Absolutely. And I think that's something I talk about all the time is, delegate what you hate, delegate what you shouldn't be doing anyhow. And don't, especially things you hate. There's no way that you should be doing that. And things that aren't in your zone of genius, there's so many other people that you can collaborate with that will benefit from you handing that off to them. And then it becomes a win-win-win for all
Yes.
parties concerned. Yeah. Yeah. And we can say in our zone of genius, which for me is not, back end of websites, that's for sure. I tried that in the beginning of my career. I was in tears and crying and kept getting the bomb. Remember the bomb that Apple used to have that used to pop up when you blow up your computer? I got the bomb so many times, it was just ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then we learn we shouldn't be doing that kind of stuff. Is not definitely not my zone of genius. So that's really great tips. Let's see. So I'm in a year of celebrating my successes, and I think it goes back to self-talk, right? Like, how do you talk to yourself about what you've done? And I think really, your mind speaks, creates reality. So I've been on a journey of celebrating any little milestone that happens in my life. So I want to ask you, if you have when you have something that you're going to celebrate, how do you celebrate your success?
My wife and I take a trip. Our next trip is to Asia, which we've got 6 different countries that we're going to in November. And I'm going to be booking the airline tickets today. We're going to go to Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, Thailand, and Kuala Lumpur. Next year, we already got it planned out. She's done all the research. We've got 6 different countries in South America: Uruguay, Paraguay, Brazil, Chile. I can't remember them all, but I got a plaque from United telling me I went through 2 million miles. At this point in where I'm at in my life, it's wherever my wife wants to go, I'm there. She plans out so my celebration is taking her where she wants to go.
I love that. I love that. A true professional husband. And Asia is definitely on my short list. So I will be living vicariously as I watch you travel. Hopefully, you'll be posting about that.
Definitely.
Okay, so before we end, of course, do you have an organizing tactic or strategy that you love that supports you daily in your business endeavors?
I've got 2 of them I'm going to share with you. First of all, because you've got to be congruent with your commitments. And as a networker, I'm always making appointments, so Calendly's one. And the other one, because everything's based on your communication, you've got your verbal communication, but you've got your written communication. And it's like my business partner introduced me to Grammarly. It's like an OMG experience. Like now, beforehand, and my wife graduated valedictorian of her class. Now there was only 10 people in her class, but it's still valedictorian, and she is really good at grammar. And so, anytime I was writing something, I'd call her over, disrupt her, and she would correct my grammar. Now with Grammarly, it's like, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Get rid of all those extra spaces. They love adding commas all over the place. The comma thing is what really gets me. I'm a wicked editor. I'm always editing everybody's stuff, but Grammarly gets me with the commas all the time. So I think that's a great tool. If any of you haven't loaded up Grammarly, please load it up into your computer. It's going to help you a lot. And of course, Calendly, how else are we going to keep our busy life together unless we have a calendar system that supports our emails and our life and keeps it all together?
One more let me add one more.
Okay.
And that's perplexity.ai. Anytime you've got a question, no matter what the question is, you don't need the paid version, the free version. It's like you get emails from quite often people. I'll send it to them. Is this a scam? Yeah, it's a scam. We needed to buy a washer and dryer just recently. I asked Perplexity, what's the best washer and dryer for the money? Are the 5 best one way or the other? So Perplexity is another guy, saver. I mean, it's embracing AI. We talked about change. A lot of people are fearful
Yeah.
of AI. I look at AI as accelerated innovation for your business differentiation. So if you're not embracing it and using it, it still has the human touch. You don't want to lose the human element. But there's many different things. My chameleon right there on the stage was done with Dolly, in minutes. So I mean, anyhow, that would be the other thing I'd suggest.
Is it really up to date? Because I know that, the regular chat is, a couple years behind the times. Do you think Perplexity is more up to date than some of the other AI platforms?
Well, on the AI, you want the paid version of ChatGPT. I mean, it's changing. I mean, it's changing at light speed. I mean, um, every day there's a change going on one way or the other. So that's why my business partner has joined the 12-step program for AI. I just, anytime I've got a question, I just ask him.
Oh my God, it's great. Yeah, I'm using Merlin, the paid version now. And Merlin's like a wizard. But I hadn't heard of Perplexity, so I'll check that out. That's but we have to do it. We have to jump into it if we're going to stay current and hopefully not use it word for word, but use the structure of it to help us. It is huge implemental.
I mean, yeah,
The
a
12
couple,
you're cracking
yeah.
me up.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of things. For example, I'll write things myself and then I just put it into like ChatGPT and say, can you make this better? Now, if I like the changes, great. If I don't,
Right.
not a problem. I don't need to use them.
Right.
So, but it's just recognizing the changes and, you know, a lot of people fear AI. And I like the acronym of fear, which is face, everything, and rise. Might as well embrace it. It's going to be here. So,
Yeah, it's here. It's here to stay. Yeah. So jump onto it right now. Okay. So another question for you. If you had to look back and talk to your 18-year-old self, what advice would you give him?
man, well, pay attention to the signs, um, again, in the beginning stages, I wasn't too into education. I take a look at, the things that I missed one way or the other, and enjoy life. I mean, life is short. We all, Ben Sweetland, I think, said it the best. Success is the journey, not the destination. You might as well enjoy the journey, and focus on, and you mentioned about hope, and I love the acronym of hope, which is helping other people every day. If you focus on just showing up, being authentic, and contributing, quite often the media focuses on the differences. Us as human beings have got more similarities than differences. So if you focus on helping other people and, um, you know, you know, my purpose and ultimately in life is to live a life of meaning based on helping other people.
I love that. I love that. So maybe tell yourself that back in the day, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, well, in parting, I know there's so much we could talk about. Oh my gosh, we could sit here actually for days and talk. I love speaking with you. What have I not asked you? What do you want to tell the listeners out there that I've not asked?
Yeah. We all have different lessons based on things that happen. And one of the things I learned early on, and again, there's so many things I could say, but life will continually trip you up until you learn the lesson you're supposed to learn. Um, you know, the other thing I loved what Jim Rohn said, measurable results, reasonable period of time, as he relates back and he asks the question, how long would you like your son or daughter to be in first grade? He says 1 year's enough. That's why they make the desk so small. So again, measurable results, reasonable period of time, stay focused on your vision and continually have consistency with your daily actions and knowing that ultimately you will end up arriving wherever it is that you want to arrive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with consistency and with dedication. I agree. Yeah. Yeah. Stop jumping off the rails, kiddos. Stay the course because we can create anything we want to create. And back to the top of the conversation where your mind can create where you're going to go. So let's keep your mind focused on where you want to go and use consistent, as Robert says, consistent actions over time will get you to where you think you want to go.
And one last thing, even when things don't work out, whatever that might be, ask yourself, what was the lesson that I learned because it didn't work the way I wanted it to work?
Absolutely. And life will keep giving those lessons over and over and over until you do get it. So you might as well try to get it sooner than later and get out of first grade and into second grade. I think that's funny why they make the desk so small. Yeah. You crack me up. Okay. So I know that there's something that you would like to offer the audience. And what is it that they can download or get or click or whatever?
If they want to book a time on my calendar,
That's huge.
I will give them a half an hour of my time complimentary. And what I can guarantee them is within a 30-minute conversation based on what's going on in their life, I will be able to help them elevate and accelerate what's going on as it relates to what is happening in their life, in their business.
Wow. Fantastic. That's huge. Everybody need to jump on that. Your calendar is going to be full. Jump on it. Absolutely take advantage of that. You will get all sorts of nuggets of wisdom and moving and forward momentum for your business just by a quick 30-minute talk. So, wow, that's hugely generous. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it.
Again, my name's Robert Butwin. I really want your listeners to remember, with Robert, you'll do nothing but win.
I love it. All right, let's live. Let's win with Robert Butwin. Yeah, let's do it. Okay, signing off for now, gang. Thanks so much for joining me on this episode. We will see you next time, same bat channel. Until then, have fun, enjoy your journey, make success, and actually celebrate every time you do make a success. Super important. Okay, till then, gang, we'll see you then. Hey, thanks for listening to this podcast. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you want to hear more, feel free to subscribe on the platform of your choice. Also, if you feel so inclined, I would truly appreciate a good rating from you to me. Have a stellar day.